Do you want to take us through? Oh no, am I the final team? I am the final team. The Utah Jazz. They acquired a 2027 second round pick. It's the least favorable of OKC, Houston, Indy, and Miami. Cash and created a $9.3 million trade exception. Only $7.5 million is remaining from that because they took Eric Pascal into it. They acquired all that for Derek Favors and a 2024 first round pick. They sent that to Oklahoma City. It's top 10 protected in 2024 and 2025, top 8 protected in 2026, turns into a 2028 second if not conveyed. They acquired the number 40 pick, which they used on Jared Butler. Memphis's 2022 second rounder, no protections on that, and a 2026 second round pick for number 30, which they sent out to Memphis. And that they got Pascal from Golden State for Memphis's 2026 second rounder, protected 31 to 42. They signed Mike Conley to a 3-year, $68 million deal. $58 million is guaranteed. $14.3 million is guaranteed in 23-24. The total deal can get up to about $72.5 in unlikely incentives. They signed Rudy Gay to a 3-year, $18.6 million deal, a 2023-2024 player option on that. Signed Hassan Whiteside to a 1-year deal at the minimum. Signed Jarrell Brantley to a 1-year partially guaranteed deal. Notable subtractions from this team: Derek Favors, George Niang, who's now in Philly, and they waived Matt Thomas, who I actually thought could have been a useful player in Utah. Did I forget anything there, Grant?
I think you're good. I gave it a B-, and that's based mainly on the Mike Conley deal. I'm totally fine with. It's sort of like a Chris Paul light where you protect yourself on the back end with some, not fully guaranteed stuff. I thought that that's perfectly reasonable for him. I think he can outplay that for sure, at least in the first year. And then after that, who knows? But the Jazz are a win now team, so what you care about is right now as much as anything. Rudy Gay is okay. 3 years, 18 and a half. That's fine. Eric Pascal for nothing, basically. I think he can be like a ninth guy on a good team, and he can score off the bench. He can, he did that for stretches with the Warriors when, granted they were really bad and had no one else to turn to do this, but he's a hard guy to handle one-on-one if that's how you need to play your second unit minutes. He can get you 5-6, good possessions in a row where you get a decent look. So there's some value there. I guess I was also sort of generally encouraged that. So this was a team that I think everybody thought, or the rumble was that, one of Favors, Ingles, or Bogdanovich, or maybe Clarkson is probably going to have to go because they're going to want to trim that tax bill. And first of all, they picked the right guy out of those to dump, which was Favors, because he was the least valuable. But then they actually brought Gay on for a decent salary. So it just sort of indicates to me that maybe there's a willingness to spend more than maybe I thought and a lot of people thought. So that's a positive. I don't know.
You know what their tax bill is right now?
I don't.
$38.9 million entering the season. They're $18.1 million over the tax is what I have them at.
Okay. That's, I don't know. I think maybe that was not a surefire certainty. It ought to be for a team this good. I think they're right up there with probably the Lakers and Suns on teams you put in that top tier, I guess. So it's a B-. I knocked them down a little bit because it seemed like the biggest problem they had, not seemed like, it was clear that the biggest problem they had was perimeter defense. The Clippers kind of cut him up. Rudy Gobert got heat for that because you blame the big guy for not being able to move around in that playoff series, but it was hard to do that when every guy that's supposed to guard someone on the perimeter is getting smoked and, just ping ball movement and, the guys are in the lane. They did not address that. Rudy Gay is not that guy. If Donovan Mitchell's healthy, maybe that's less of a problem. Same for Mike Conley. That's the only thing I would have liked to have seen is just go find a wing, find a guard. Doesn't matter, that is just going to stay in front of somebody. They didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm with you on all fronts. I just went with a B for them. I thought about going a B+ because, like you, I really like the willingness to spend. Mm-hmm. That being said, they could still get out of that. Just because they have Bogdanovich, Jordan Clarkson, and Joe Ingles, there could be other stuff afoot as we get closer to the trade deadline if they're not as good as they think, or maybe if they are as good as they think, they just don't want to pay it. So I sort of reserve judgment for that a little bit. And I'm with you. I just probably would have liked to. I like that they gave themselves the option to downsize. With that in mind, Rudy Gay is 35, has a player option for that third season. I know the number isn't huge. It's just like a player option for Rudy Gay, who's going to be entering his age 37 season at that point. It's only $6.5 million, but Rudy Gay at age 37. That's all I keep coming back to. Still, you do have the option of running some weirdo stuff in the front court that I like during the non-Gobert minutes with Gay, with Eric Pascal, who I thought was just because he's also close with Donovan Mitchell. And so that's keep Donovan Mitchell happy at this point because he's your championship lifeline, as good as Rudy Gobert is right now. But I would have liked to have seen them just done something additional on the wings. And yes, these guys, by normal standards, they are athletic, they are specimens by the NBA level. Their most effective wing defender at this point is still going to be Royce O'Neal, which is fine, but they need another one. And it's like, had they gotten, and I'm not saying they could have, but had they gotten even a David Nwaba or just someone along those lines to just a defensive specialist they could have thrown on the court in certain situations throughout the regular season, of course, because you don't just want to bust out guys for playoff minutes. It would have made me feel better about their chances. Still, if you told me they were the number 1 seed in the West, if you told me they were the team that came out of the West, they're built for it. And I think as of right now, their payroll and the way they acted for the most part over the offseason really just sort of reflects that. And it even could have been as simple as had they traded for like a Daniel House was just on this team, I would be like, I might be B+, A- territory. So good offseason from them. It's just their most glaring void because I don't think having the option of downsizing is great. But Rudy Gobert is so good. You need that option against what? 1 to 3 teams?
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at with them.
I like it. I think we agree on that one. I do wonder, it's such a cliche to say this, but and we don't need to go long on this, but it does feel like, I think you were alluding to, they feel like they've got a move to make, don't you think? Like it just seems like, Ingles and Bogdanovich could turn into something else, or I don't know. I just because I don't understand Rudy Gay doesn't feel like someone that really addresses much. So yeah, I don't know. I could see them being. This is the other thing. I think they're gonna be the number 1 seed in the West. I think that's more likely than not. But if they get to a point where it's clear they really need something, I think they've got enough mid-tier salary guys to really put something together and maybe make our criticism of their lack of a wing defender, go away.
Hey, we're not grading what might happen in the middle of the season. We're grading what they did over the offseason. But yeah, I mean, and I don't know if you could say they're super foolish just because Mike Conley doesn't have like the most pristine bill of health behind him. But when you look at just their secondary guys beyond Mitchell and Conley, I think you could argue that at least one of Bogdanovich, Joe Ingles, and Jordan Clarkson offensively is superfluous or redundant. Joe Ingles is the most plug and play among those guys, and I just love Joe Ingles. And he's clearly comfortable in Utah, and all those guys are so valuable. But if Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell are both healthy, your offense, even if you want to load it up with shot creation, does not need all 3 of those guys. And so it does feel, I mean, it's probably Captain Obvious, but it does feel like if there is a move to be made, at least one of those 3 guys would be involved. And I don't know if you have an inkling or a preference if you're the Jazz and you're going to make a move in the season. Who do you view as least expendable, or who's the player you'd move? Mine, I'll throw it out there. I know he's coming off a great season. It would be Jordan Clarkson for me.
I think that's right, because if you're a team, again, that's trying to win playoff games, I think Clarkson has the least value of any of those guys, especially if Pascal can give you like 10 or 12 points on reasonable efficiency, because that's sort of just, Clarkson's better than that, but that role just means less.
The other thing I didn't mention, by the way, is I love the Jared Butler swing. I don't know if he'll get any playing time with them, but I thought he was like a lottery caliber talent. And there's obviously the concerns about his health. I'm assuming that's what dragged him down. But to get that type of value at number 40, and maybe, I think the criticism would be if you pick Clarkson over Bogdanovich or Ingles, you're not going to trust one of those guys to run the offense necessarily in non-Mitchell and Conley minutes. I would argue you just shouldn't have minutes where both those guys are off the court. But Jordan Clarkson will give you the creation there, but Joe Ingles is a better passer than Jordan Clarkson is at this point. And maybe Jared Butler just gives you something there.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with this, but everybody stop listening. Now you made me remember that I was on the Joe Ingles should have won 6 man over Jordan Clarkson train all year. Didn't come out too well for me.
I think there's a case there to be made. If Jazz fans are mad, you can just look at it you could just look at it as it should have belonged to a Jazz player either way, if you want to